community, and our taxes are killing us. Our assessments have to come down. They just have to come down. A lot of the homes are they're antique homes in Portchester. We're an old community. Our town was started in 1660, but we were saw pits under you. And then May 14, 1868, we became Portchester. And we did all the the boats going to all over the place because the King George allowed that. We have big problems. Rybrook was created a long time later. What are they, 25, 26 years old, 27 years old, whatever it is. But they are using everything that's in the village of Portchester that's off the tax rolls. We have, I believe, 11 group homes in the village of Portchester all off the tax rolls. They can't buy in the elitist communities, but they can buy here, take it off the tax rolls, and our taxes keep going up. We just can't take it. So we look to you, please, as an overseeing government, to please try to get our taxes down in the village of Portchester, to understand we cannot be compared by comparing us to other housing without using age, condition, and location. This is no joke. This is no joke. And the taxes must come down to help the citizens and taxpayers of Portchester. So please try to do something to help us.
Thank you, Goldie. Thank you. Any other comments from the public? Okay. Our first resolution, I think we did. Mitchell, we have two. We have the two we started to discuss. Four?
Mitchell, this is the Mitchell show.
This is the Mitchell show tonight. 4 or 2?
Oh, no, here. Grab this folder.
Okay.
Grab this.
Sorry. Doesn't work.
The first resolution in front of the town board is a resolution to establish the homestead-based proportions to address very specific.
What was it last year, Mitchell?
It was last year, the homestead base rate was equal to 70.42. This year, the rate is 70.37, which reduces...
That means the commercial property is appreciated.
That means the commercial I would describe it as the commercial property is depreciated at a slower rate than the residential properties, but fundamentally that's correct.
Okay, so we're all clear what this means. Any questions from the board?
Mitchell, since your history here, this trending, have you trended this at all to see whether or not historically the homeowners, the non-commercial, have been paying less year after year?
Historically, it's been roughly flat as a percentage being paid by the homeowners, but I will make this comment, which is that absent the homestead-based proportions, the homestead portion of the tax base would be paying approximately 7 percentage points more of the tax levy, or approximately 9 to 10% more in taxes to the town than they do with the homestead-based proportions being enacted every year.
Understood.
So it's a great advantage to the homeowners.
How does the number, the exact proportion, change year to year? Is that by a Westchester-based decision of the state?
It is a formula that takes into account last year's assessments, changes due to values, changes due to physical construction, changes due to deletions, changes due to utility-based proportion. To give you a sense of it,
Well, who comes up with the new number?
I calculate the numbers formulated.
You do.
It's these two spreadsheets for the town right here. It's what's called a RP 6701 and an RP 6703, and those two spreadsheets combined result in a base proportion that represents the sort of the minimum base proportion that can be assessed to or taxed to or levied to the homestead, the homeowners. And that's the proportion we're adopting. It's formulaic in nature.
All right.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the Resolution A regarding the homestead-based proportion.
A second?
Second. Okay.
All say aye.
Aye.
Okay, now, Mitch, we're on this hiring of LW Hospitality Advisors.
Yes.
I understand we're hiring them for a certiorari case, and we really don't have any choice because we need to get an appraisal. But what is you don't have any, what years are being challenged?
The years being challenged.
And what are the two valuations?
Okay.
I don't have that in here anywhere, do I?
It was in my email, but I'll summarize it quickly.
2003,
Do you have it there?
2000. I don't know if that's what it is. Is it the July 2003, 2006?
The years being challenged are
Yeah.
2003, 2006, 2007, and 2008.
And what's our evaluation?
During that
upstairs?
period, our valuation ranges from approximately 95 million to 100 million in round numbers. Okay, so it's a significant valuation. It has a significant tax
Right, and what are
levy.
they valued at?
They have not even told us yet.
Yeah, but this is,
If you're asking me what they've claimed, it's approximately...
no, I want the general public to know.
Generally
Just
speaking...
stop, apologize.
Okay.
I want the general public to know that our school children, and I see the press is here, and I hope you report this, that the general public, the school children are having money stolen out of the schools, is my view of this thing. What information have they provided to us?
They provided us 1 year's income and expense back, I believe, in 2006 or 2007. We ran an analysis based upon the information provided. At the town's expense, we ran a...
Wait, so they're challenging 4 years and they provide us information on 1 year?
I would say that's correct.
Okay, now, Mr. Noda, what happened? Oh, that was before our law?
Yeah. This predates our law.
So these, I just want to know, what are they claiming the value? When they went through the board process, what are they claiming, 10% of value?
Yes.
10% of value. So I just want the people at home to know. Here you have a major corporation in your community telling us that their $100 million property is worth $10 million. And they want us to believe that their $100 million property is worth $10 million. So they're basically saying to the whole community, I don't care. I'm going to hire my lawyer on a success fee basis, and I'm going to basically do my best to screw the community as best I can. And I'm going to reduce my taxes as best I can. It's a horrific legal tactic. We've gone through revaluation. They haven't provided us with any information whatsoever. If we got it wrong, tell us. If we got it wrong, tell us, and we'll sit down and look through it. But no, what they do is a legal tactic. Now, what's happened? And I'm sorry you hear this every meeting, but you're going to hear it until somebody wakes up. You know, no citizen in the whole of the town of Rye has ever come with a residential challenge at 10% of value. No homeowner would have the chutzpah to say my $1 million home is worth $100,000. You know, and for these corporations to do that is just it's outrageous. It's heinous. And so here so they're coming in and say it's 10% of value. They've given us no information, no rationale.
Mr. Supervisor, I just want to add to that. In doing so, obviously the town of Rye needs to protect the residents, and that's the reason why we are here with this resolution. And looking at this resolution, you have to go through the packet to find it, but the town of Rye is in a position now where they have to expend money to defend the assessment. And we're looking at, Mitch, $30,000 to $50,000 on this property alone.
The base appraisal fee is $30,000, Mr.
And that
Court.
doesn't include
Doesn't include extras, doesn't include court costs.
Doesn't include the court, the scope of services, the people that are the officers of the company, the director, managing director, senior vice president, people are going to be working on our behalf. So $30,000 to $50,000 is probably a fair estimate.
Yes.
So I think putting a price tag on that, Mr. Supervisor, I think helps as well.
Exactly. And thank you very much, Deputy Supervisor Malone. And again, I see the press here. State Assemblyman Latimer is fighting hard to pass a home rule law for reval communities, and I'm really encouraging him to get that done. State Senator Susie Oppenheimer got her side passed, and last year, and the state assembly, for some reason, is blocking us. And so I appreciate if the press could call State Assemblyman Latimer and see what the status of this is. There's no more important legislation confronting the whole of the town of Rye. Because what happens here? What's happening here? So we have 2003, 6, 7, and 8, 4 years. Now, you have a penalty. If we decide to go to court, you just heard our appraisal fees are going to go from $30,000 to $50,000 if we decide to go to court. The second thing that's going to happen, if we go to court and lose, we have a 9% penalty interest rate. What are we getting on our funds, Mr. Burns? What are we getting on our funds today? 0.60, 0.6%. And New York State, in its infinite wisdom, wants us to pay 9% to these what was the skullduggery? The 9% interest rate to these people. 9%. So if we go to the court and we say it's $100 million, what they're going to do is say $80 million. And they're going to expect us to split the difference. But we won't go to court because if we lose, it's a 9% penalty interest over 4 years on the difference. So, what is the law that Mr. Latimer is pushing hard for us to get passed? Settle in the same year. Residential properties are settled in the same year. We want to settle in the same year. If we got it wrong, we want to know. But don't come at 10% of value, provide us with no information, hire a lawyer on a success fee basis, and call yourself a good community participant.
Just for the record, this is going to trial.
I understand that.
In June.
Oh, it is going to trial.
Yep.
Okay,
This
even better.
This appraisal is.
Oh wait, so now, so it's going to trial, and they haven't given us any information,
We're taking a hard line. We're not,
and they're giving us no information.
well, I don't know that. I don't know if that.
I would categorize it as minimal. We've
Right.
asked for a lot of information. I believe Mr. Toulis will be in front of the judge, I want to say in the next week, in presenting the list.
We'll have to exchange appraisals. So we'll get ours, then we'll get theirs, then we'll have the information.
That being said, I'd like to make a motion to adopt this resolution to hire the appraiser as presented for us, the LW Hospitality Advisors LLC, located in New York City, as the appraiser for the Doral Conference Center versus the town of Rye.
Sorry, 1 second before. Did you know these people?
Yes,
Are they good?
yes. They're
Well-
one of the top people. Mr. Lesser, who is now the principal of LW Hospitality, was formerly the director of hospitality and I want to say assisted living for Cushman Wakefield.
Yeah, his history, obviously, LW Hospitality Advisors is most recent, but he worked with C.B. Richard Ellis, which we've used in the past, Cushman Wakefield, Hilton Hotels, Eurohotel, Kutcher's, in Monticello, so
Beautiful.
he was there for a year, so I'm sure he has a fair understanding.
Thank you. So I get a second to Mr. Villanova's motion?
Second.
Okay. Aye. I think we're all aye. Okay, well, as long as we're on it, let's go to Westchester Playhouse. And I have to say, this is the exact same situation on a much smaller level. But here we got our valuations horrifically wrong. And if I was in the private sector, someone would be fired as a result of us getting the valuations horrifically wrong, and please report that in the press as well. The thing is, the reason we got it horrifically wrong, as per an email I received from the town assessor, is because, again, we got zero information. Zero information. We got one bit of information in 2004, nothing in 2005, nothing in 2006, nothing in 2007, nothing in 2008, nothing in 2009, nothing in 2010, and obviously we haven't done 2011 yet. Nothing. No information for 6 years.
So can we exclude the last two, since that would fall under our new...
I think it's part of the settlement, as I
Part
understand
of the
it.
settlement.
Yeah.
So we're pre-settling, if you will, the next couple of
Where,
years.
is this the old Embassy Theater?
Yes. Yes.
Go ahead and tell if you want to tell. I understand.
Okay. Alrighty then.
So again, we need to. Would you set up another meeting with the Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Markowitz? I think it's important that they understand that they. By the way, so every business in the town of Rye, okay, is going to pay higher tax rates as a result, because we just passed the homestead. So 70% of the taxes in the town of Rye are picked up by residents, and 30% by the corporations. So if the large corporations like Doral dramatically underpay, who's picking it up? The other corporations. If we can't value your properties fairly, you're going to pick up the bill, and you do. So can we please set up another meeting with the Chamber of Commerce?
I would be happy to. I would be happy to pursue it, because I think the better the information, the more open the business community is, the better off everybody is, and the more fair the process is.
Hey, by the way, sorry, did we get information as per our new law on this one? It sounds like to me we did not. On the Westchester Playhouse, did we get the information?
I believe the answer is no.
How could that possibly be? I don't understand how that could happen.
It could happen because they just didn't.
They just telling us
we
we're
turned them down.
jump in the lake.
Well, no, they went to the BAR, and the BAR
Went to the
rejected it.
BAR,
Yeah.
and the BAR.
dismissed
So our
the claim.
law is worthless.
No, it's not worthless. It's just that the BAR did the right thing and dismissed the claim.
Well, but
They went to court.
But they're coming in at 10% of value anyway.
But they went to court and did it. They didn't do it here. They went to court. We dismissed the claim at our level and went to Supreme Court. We can't stop them from going to Supreme Court. That's the problem. Now, if we get the law passed at Albany, then we can dismiss it.
I can't tell you how much it makes me angry to approve this settlement. Anyway, can I get a motion to approve it? Yeah, it makes me angry because clearly they're acting in bad faith.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
It's an all aye or?
Aye. And this last one, this one we got a lot closer. By the way, when these guys, where did they come in? Where did they come in terms of? Did they come in at 10% of value as well, or did they come in at a more reasonable valuation?
I would be lying to you if I gave you the answer. I suspect it was 10%, but I don't know the honest answer.
Okay. Well, anyway, we're much better on this one. Why were we so much closer on this one?
This waterfront property?
Yes.
Waterfront property, they have income from boat facilities. It is a operating, multi-tenanted facility. We have better inventory, better estimates of the value.
Are they associated with Brewers or McMichaels?
No, they are either next door or within 200 feet of them.
Adjacent?
But no, they are different properties.
Okay.
Okay, so it's another resolution settlement. This one we did much better on in terms of assessing the value. I guess the Village of Marinick was involved as well. They were further away, much further away, as I understand it, from Mitch.
They were considerably further away than we were. We worked together jointly to assure that the best possible outcome for both the town, the school district, and the village.
Mr. Supervisor, this is also very telling that probably with the information and with good dialogue, this is current, and this is actually the smallest reduction I've seen by far.
Yep. So good work on this property, Mitch.
Thank you.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Aye. All right. Reports. Mitch, while you're there, do you have anything?
I just want yes.
Yes. Yeah, please. Yep. If you're making more than $500,000, you're going to be paying more taxes.
Absolutely dead certain.
If I was making that much, I'd be happy to pay more taxes.
So would I, but be that as it may.
In fact, if you're making more than $500,000, my strong recommendation is you start to rent.
The state of New York, in the latter half of 2010,
Let's just go quick to
Passed
no star for-
legislation, passed legislation that states that anybody who has an income in excess of $500,000, as reported to the New York State Department of Taxation, is no longer eligible for a star. The State of New York Department of Taxation has provided
Can't hear
the
it?
town
Oh, you cannot.
has provided the town with a list of those people who do no longer qualify for the star exemption, and for those people for which the State of New York can't even determine whether they qualify or not. Needless to say, in total, there are 1,121 people who either will not qualify or are questionable
In the town of Rye?
in the town of Rye, out of a total star number of 5,998. So that's almost 19% of all the residents receiving the benefits of the star may, in fact, lose
Town
that
Attorney
benefit.
Noda, your history. Yeah, pains to
That's your income.
Nothing to do
I was
with me.
saying,
I'm okay.
oh, it's
I get the letter.
It's Terenzi then. Sorry,
I'm going
it's
to call up
Terenzi.
Markowitz and say, what are you doing to me?
Absolutely. So as a consequence of that state legislation, the town assessor and myself will be required to notify 516 residents of the town that they are no longer qualified for their star exemption, effective essentially immediately with the 2011-2012 school tax bill, your school tax bill that you'll be receiving this summer. And Nick, you can correct me what the date is, but I believe it's August or September. September
Marcos,
1st.
can you explain to the audience and to the both here and at home what exactly the star exemption is and how it's reflected in one's tax bill?
Absolutely. The STAR exemption is a state-funded program to reduce your school property taxes. What the state of New York says is if you qualify for the STAR exemption, your assessment for real estate tax purposes is reduced, and the state pays a portion of your tax bill.
How much?
If you have a star basic, it's approximately $1,200. If it's an enhanced star, it's approximately $2,000.
Is that the assessment on your home?
No, that's the amount of taxes paid by the state of New York on your behalf.
So if you have
own a home-
$20,000 tax bill and you have a basic
If you have a
deduction,
school tax
you'd have a reduction. Oh,
If you have a school tax bill of $12,000,
Right.
which is not really unusual in many parts of this
Right.
community, it means the state of New York was paying 10% of your school tax bill as part of the STAR program,
Okay.
where you will see a 10% increase in your school tax bill effective this summer,
right, without anything else happening.
through no fault of
Is
the
it
local
joint?
assessor.
Is it joint? Is it joint? Is it husband and wife, the $500,000, or is it each?
Specifically, the eligibility is based on the combined incomes of owners who reside at the property and any owner's spouse who resides at the property, determined by the State of New York Department of
Now,
Taxation.
you said 512 letters are going out. What about the other ones that are?
There will be 516 letters terminating resident exemptions effective almost immediately. There will be approximately 600 letters that will be going out following that, asking for copies of their income tax return from 2009, both their federal and state. And we will also be asking them to sign a form to provide us with their Social Security number, which I'm required to enter into a state computer so that in the future the state can track it better.
And what happens if people don't respond?
Their star will be terminated.
Terminated.
Really? Okay, look, now this is important. This is important. This is not the town of Rye. You know, I apologize. We've been joking around a little bit tonight, and I apologize. I've been taking liberty because it's my birthday, but in terms of the star policy as implemented by New York State, this is not the town of Rye. And so ultimately what I'm hearing is there's 1,000 people more or less in the town of Rye that are going to lose their star exemption because they earn more than $500,000 effectively. Did I have that correct?
There are 516 who definitely have been certified as losing it. There are 600 roughly who the state of New York can't even answer my question.
Right, but those 600...
Of those 600, clearly some of them will lose it, some of them will provide us with information. I will be required to certify them if they can prove to the town assessor myself that they do in fact qualify.
Okay, now,
I would just add
but if
that
they don't send you the information, this is the important
if they
point.
do not respond to our request, their exemption will be terminated.
Thank you.
I have two questions, Mr. Markowitz, to follow up. First, it's not so infrequent anymore for homes to be in the name of a trust or an LLC or something else.
Correct.
How does that play out against
From the
star exemption?
standpoint of qualifying for a star exemption, if it's in a trust for the benefit of usually the elderly person, we consider the elderly person as a resident owner and treat them as if it were not in the trust.